Do you want me to give the title, or you'll give the title?
You can give it.
Okay, the title is... No, it's not.
Tell your story.
Research your topic.
Yes.
Okay, the topic is research. So first,
do you see yourself as a great public speaker? I do. I see myself as a great public speaker, just not today. Sometime in the future, this is a great public speaker, but maybe not today. But who here would like to be a great public speaker someday? Well, some hands didn't shoot up. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little curious as why not everybody shot their hand up, because it's a process, you see. So anybody can do it. Unless you have a physical reason why you cannot produce sounds out of your mouth, and I've heard everybody in here, and I know that everybody, especially James in the back, can make a sound out of their mouth that would make a great speaker. Be a great speaker someday. If you want to truly be a great speaker, that's all it takes, is a commitment to becoming that and the tools. And you have the tools, so where's the commitment? What's holding you back? Maybe, well, I have to say one thing before I go on. I'm a little surprised that I was able to speak here, because there were an awful lot of hands that went up and said you wanted to be a great public speaker, but it takes practice, and there's no better place in the world to practice public speaking than a Toastmasters club. It is safe. You have an audience, and they give you feedback for free. This is a great place to get better. So I shouldn't be able to come in and say, do you have room on the schedule today, and get a yes. I should get, sorry, come back in a couple of weeks. We're pretty well booked. Just keep that in the back of your mind if you raise your hand. Maybe you're a little intimidated, those of you who didn't raise your hand. The daunting idea of putting in that kind of time, it is a commitment. It has to be important to you, because it's going to push out other things. Or maybe the problem that you have is the problem that I had. You see, my problem was that I was good. I was a good speaker, and I didn't get any better for a long time. I was too good to be great. Good is the enemy of great, according to Jim Collins, the author of Good to Great. The first line in his book. And to really understand what that means, you have to understand that, well, I'll tell you my story, and you can hopefully relate to it. It was 2008, which actually was not that long ago to me. I had been in Toastmasters for almost 2 years, and at the time, I was a success. In my club, my first club, I had entered a contest, and I'd won at my club, I'd won at the area, I'd won at the division, and I came in the top 4 in the district. This was a table, not a tabletop, it's a tall table in Omaha, Nebraska. I was very proud of myself. I thought I was pretty darn good. So a year later, I decided I'm ready for the big time. I'm going to go for the Toastmasters International Speaking Competition. This is the one that ends in the World Championship of Public Speaking. And by golly, I wanted a chance at the title, because I was good, right? Well, I wasn't in Omaha anymore. I was in Colorado Springs. And let's just say the bar is a little higher. There are more people who take speaking a little serious. So I won my club competition that year. I was happy about that. Barely won that competition. But I thought I'll be okay. I worked on my speech. I practiced it. It was a good, solid speech, very interesting topic. And, well, let's just say, I remember the name of the guy who came in first that day. It wasn't Chris Mortensen. It was Byron Embry. And Byron was a semi-professional speaker. Byron had been to the World Championship of Toastmasters, World Championship of Public Speaking. He hadn't come in the top couple, but I know he had made it there, which meant he won at 5 levels to get to that last 6th level of the competition. So he was good. This guy was good. There's no doubt about it. I don't remember the name of the guy who came in second. It was not Chris Mortensen. Needless to say. And that burst my bubble. Thank goodness. I realized that day that I was good, but I was nowhere near good. And I decided it was time to do something about it. And my wife had. I was brought out to California for 6 months for my job in the Air Force, and then I was sent out to Iraq for a year, and then I wound up retiring and coming up to Canada. And I said, I can't wait for life to slow down. I've got to start doing something about this. So lately, I've been doing a lot of studying and research, and seeing what the best speakers in the world do. And now I understand what I did wrong. And I'd like to share that with people. So that's why I'm here today, is to share that with you. The biggest thing I did wrong is the one thing I'm going to talk about, and that's I didn't tell any stories. I had all kinds of facts. I had great figures. I had wonderful ideas that came from Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, about how people think and how they see the world. But I didn't have any stories. What do stories do that all that facts and all those information and all that great stuff that I gave these people? And I was enthusiastic, but there were no stories. So I could not connect with people. I didn't make that connection. You know, when you tell a story, and there's an emotion in there, like Myrna's story. Her story connected with you. Maybe you've never met somebody like this person, or maybe you have. If you have, you connected. If you have felt those emotions that she was describing, she connected with you at that time. I never made that connection. Stories connect. But stories also are what you remember. You see, in the book Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath, just recently started reading that book. And the first thing they talk about is that, remember the story that was going around the internet about the guy who goes out for a drink and then wakes up in a bathtub full of ice with a note saying, "Call 911, your kidney has been harvested." One of the worst of one of those, what do they call those? Those stories that go around the internet. You couldn't. You remember that story. You'll remember that story because it's the imagery is so vivid. Stories stick. Facts don't stick. Stories stick. And stories have structure to them. It's beginning, a middle, and end. I finished my speech, and a few days later, I couldn't remember exactly what I had said. But I remember the stories the other guys had told in their speeches, and that was the biggest difference. There were several other things that I did wrong, but ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a great storyteller, the first thing you should do is get up here and speak. The second thing you should do is put stories in those speeches, because stories stick. They make structure, they make a connection, and they stick. So get up here and tell your story, because you have all got a lot to offer. I've heard that already today. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to hear your story.
Thank you very much, Chris, for sharing that.